Hey everyone, my name is Aaron and welcome back to the Critic Sensei YouTube channel. And I just finished watching the last episode, the final episode of The Acolyte. And I am speechless, but if I had one word to describe this show, it would be a train wreck, an absolute disaster. I didn't think the show can get worse and worse as it was going. We thought episode 3 was going to be one of the worst episodes of Star Wars ever. Then episode 4 came out, 5, 6, and 7 was absolutely horrible. Episode 7 was basically going over episode 3 again from a different perspective, but nothing new was added. Now episode 8, the final episode, the episode that's supposed to get you excited for a possible season 2, which I hope doesn't happen. But in this episode, random things were happening. There was no resolution because there was no story to resolute. These characters were doing random things throughout the whole episode, and it got to the point where I was laughing. I was laughing out loud at what was happening during the show. We also got a cameo from Darth Plagueis and Yoda at the end. And was Yoda a part of this whole conspiracy? And honestly, they're breaking lore so much to the point where I can't consider any of this canon. And I'm sure thousands and hundreds of thousands of other people feel the same. To be 100% honest with you, reviewing The Acolyte for the last week, 2 weeks has been extremely exhausting. Like watching a beloved classic get twisted and destroyed and mangled. It gets to the point where you don't even recognize it anymore. Now the final episode of The Acolyte, episode 8, starts with the protagonist having the mysterious Sith mask on, breathing heavily. And for whatever reason, we don't know why, she has some kind of vision seeing Soul get killed. And for whatever reason, Darth Smiley has to come in and do some force something, go into the nether realm and get her out of it and take the mask off. And they don't explain what's going on here, but let's keep going. So she teams up with Darth Smiley, and for whatever reason, he brings up he has the only ship, and because he has the only ship, she's gonna go with him. So they go together to go to Seoul, where Osha wants to save Seoul. You can tell that they were trying to make this story go full circle, but it wasn't a circle. It was more like something like that. This was a nightmare to watch. And we also got a cameo from Darth Plagueis and Yoda at the end, and I don't know why. You can tell maybe Dave Filoni was like, you gotta put Darth Plagueis in this for whatever reason, because you know Kathleen Kennedy was most likely not going to do that. And he was there for like 3 seconds and he looked really old and it didn't even look good. And then you got Puppet Yoda at the end, not saying anything. You get the back of his old head. And was he a part of this? Did Yoda know the whole time that there was dead Jedi and Sith before the Phantom Menace? I think where they were going with this, and honestly, I'm not surprised. They're breaking lore. I'm not considering this canon, but let's keep going. May is strapped down to the table as she's going to be arrested with the Jedi or whatever, using the little droid to escape, and Jedi Master Soul doesn't sense anything happening. He is a Jedi Master. If someone was escaping, doing whatever to escape, he would sense it. But anyways, May gets out, she stuns Soul for like 3 seconds, she gets into an escape pod or a ship that's connected, gets away, and it seems like Soul is running to her forever. It seems like he's trying to get to her, and if it was real life, he would have 100% got to her. And on top of that, he's a Jedi Master. Use the Force. Use anything to stop her if you really wanted to. They let her get away because of the plot. This is a prime example of lazy writing and plot devices instead of developing a coherent story. So the episode goes on, there's a chase between May and Soul in the ships, and Soul is in this massive ship, there's asteroids coming. He should not make it through whatsoever, but maybe the Force helped him, but who knows. But what happens next, I don't understand. So May's trying to escape Soul in a ship. And what happens is the little beaver character or the gopher, whatever it was that was the tracker, starts sabotaging Soul's ship. And why was he doing this? We honestly don't know. And this lets May get away, and this beaver or the gopher, the tracker, changes alliances for whatever reason. Maybe he's the secret Sith Lord, or I don't know. We don't know why the gopher does this. We finally get to the showdown between May, Osha, they fight, and we have Dark Smiley fighting Soul, and honestly, this has to have been the worst choreographed fights I have ever seen. And what I was thinking the whole time is, like, you know these CW shows like Arrow and The Flash, and they're TV shows, they don't have big budgets, and it felt like it was a fight scene from one of the CW shows. They were absolutely horrible. This had a $180 million budget, and these fight scenes were absolutely, especially the fight between May and Osha. What was going on? The fight scene was absolutely horrible, and let's keep going. What happens next absolutely blew my mind. So like I said, the fight between Osha and May was absolutely horrible. And the fight between Dark Smiley and Soul, it was still bad, but wasn't as bad as the Osha-May fight. Let's hope I get this right. So keep in mind, I just watched this. I'm still trying to comprehend what I just watched. So when May and Osha were fighting, May was telling Osha that, oh, did you know that Soul killed our mother? And she gets really mad, goes to Soul, force chokes him, and her lightsaber turns into red. It bleeds in that very second to red. Oh, and I forgot, Soul said something like, I love you or something as he was being force choked to death. Honestly, this was the worst storytelling I've ever seen in not just any Star Wars show, but any television show or movie I've ever watched. So after Soul dies, Osha decides to train with the Sith, Dark Smiley, and they have some sexual chemistry or something, even though, think back to episodes back, Dark Smiley killed a lot of her friends, a lot of her Jedi friends, and now they have some sexual tension together, and at the end it shows them holding hands with a lightsaber with some violin music, which it doesn't even feel like Star Wars anymore. And honestly, at this point, I was laughing so hard. Man, at this point, we see Darth Plagueis come out of a little cave, and he pops up for a second. They definitely just put him in last minute. Probably Dave Filoni or someone told them to put him in last minute for the fans. But I don't want them to mess with Darth Plagueis or any of the main characters from episodes 1 through 6. And adding Yoda at the end too, I don't understand why, like some Yoda puppet. So the finale basically fails to tie up any story arc, but there wasn't really any story arc. The whole show, people were flip-flopping sides. These characters were doing random things at random times for no reason. And things were happening just to get the story going, like the Gopher. Why was the Gopher sabotaging Soul's ship? I thought he was on Soul's side. What happened with that? Not just episode 8, but the whole series had poor storytelling, poor acting, and the plot holes, one plot hole after another. Remember earlier in the series, they were saying that things were going to build up, some big release, big mystery that was going to be solved, and all this stuff was going to happen, and they were going to go into the dark side and the Sith. But they didn't do any of that. They made a horrible story, and with everything together, it just was a huge train wreck of a television show. And on top of that, they tried to make the Jedis to be these bad people, which, okay, they could have done that if the storytelling was good. It all comes down to storytelling. Honestly, with Leslie Headland putting her personal stuff into the shows, she shouldn't be doing that. We don't care about her personal stuff, but if it was good storytelling, we wouldn't care. But because it's such poor storytelling, and whoever greenlighted this, Bob Iger or Kathleen Kennedy, whoever it is, whoever had to have greenlit this have to have been on drugs. And with Leslie Headland too, it feels like a child wrote this, a young child that has random thoughts, just randomly spewing things out and being put into a TV show. Because it got to the point where it just didn't make sense. And if anyone tries to defend this show, what is there to defend? The show ended horribly. There was no resolution to whatever story there may have been. The acting was horrible. So the ending of the show made it seem like season 2 was coming, which is really sad. Where did the $180 million budget go for this show? And at this point, money laundering, or they're pocketing the money, who knows? But it definitely did not go towards the show. This show was horrible. The settings, the backgrounds of the show, the CGI, any of this stuff was honestly horrible. The puppet Yoda at the end, so showing that Yoda was possibly a part of this whole conspiracy with these Jedi dying and him knowing the whole time. And putting Darth Plagueis there randomly, I don't want them to mess with Plagueis, Yoda, or any of the main characters from episode 1 through 6. And with a 14% audience Rotten Tomatoes. In season 2, it looks like it is coming out, even though Bob Iger said he wants to focus on quality over quantity, which if season 2 comes out, what he said was a complete lie. And honestly, at this point, we never know what Disney's gonna do, but if season 2 does come out, I don't think I'm gonna watch it. And I can't put myself through this again. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I made this video right after I watched it, so my thoughts were kind of everywhere. And to be honest, this show made me upset. I never knew a Star Wars show could make me upset, knowing that they're messing with beloved characters from Star Wars episode 1 through 6. Honestly, episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 can be canon, and whatever books during that time could be canon, but anything from Disney, I am not considering it canon. At this point, what they're doing, they're ruining the show, and they're really pushing away their main fans. And you can tell that the people making the show, Kathleen Kennedy, Leslie Headland, even Bob Iger at this point, him being in charge for greenlighting all of this, they are not Star Wars fans. They do not know the lore of it. They know surface level stuff, and even then the storytelling was poor. I'm not even a writer, but I can make a better story than what The Acolyte was. Alright, I'm ending the video here. If you like this style of video, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. Peace out, and I'll see you guys in the next video.